This training is in addition to previous training and building off the basics and looking at a little more advanced roster views and workflow. But let's cover some of the basics first as a little refresher. When you log on to your TeleStaff through Okta, this is your home screen where you can view your time card, view contact logs, your schedule, any approvals or open shifts, and any notifications. To get to your roster view, you select the icon in the top left, scroll down to roster and schedule, and TeleStaff roster, and it'll bring you to your assigned region. From here, you can see your entire battalion, any vacancies that may be open, any personnel who are unassigned, and paramedics are highlighted in blue for reference. In order to fill these vacancies, you have two options. You can switch by clicking on the checkbox of the person you would like to move and the vacancy. Click on one of the highlighted areas and hit switch. The other option is clicking and dragging by simply picking the person you would like to move, clicking, holding, and then moving to the vacancy. That's how you move, by clicking and dragging. If you need to find someone outside the battalion, navigate to the upper right where the little person is by the people filter, and you could search anybody you'd like, and you can move them into a position by clicking and dragging. Right now, I'm currently on duty, so it's going to throw a few errors, but that's okay. And there you have it. I am scheduled on that day. If you want to change a person's pay code, simply click on their pay code, edit, and change it to the pay code that you would like. Approve, save, and now you've changed the pay codes. If you need to remove pay codes, simply click the pay code, hit remove. And it removes me off the roster completely. Now, if you need to find overtime, simply click the vacancy, hit outbound, click by the rules or by the person. So make sure the minutes are correct and the contact methods are updated. Simply hit send and you will outbound overtime for this position here on the left-hand side of the screen. You can also do that with multiple positions by clicking here and outbounding them together. See, it has a list of the vacancies that are going to be called back by the rules for, let's say, 90 minutes, and I want them to be contacted via email, phone, and text. Hit send and let it do its magic. When someone accepts the overtime, they'll automatically be put on your roster as overtime callback. Simply adjust the times that they get there and the holdover positions. Okay, that was a brief refresher on how to do TeleStaff and its functionality. Now let's discuss really quick some of the more advanced roster views. First, we're going to go to available and vacant, or correction, we're going to go to all battalion view. This shows all the battalions on fire suppression. But more importantly, at the bottom, it gives a head count. How many people are at work today by rank and by specialty, advanced EMT and paramedic. This does not reflect Battalion 20's numbers, and it doesn't reflect any of the healthcare navigators or radar cars. Next, we will go to available and vacant Division 1 or Division 2. And this roster view could be used by a coordinator to see who's extra and unassigned and what vacancies need to be filled. So if all the battalion chiefs at 0700 have their rosters complete, the coordinator can simply go onto this view and find any extra people laying around and move them himself or advise his battalion chiefs to move them for him. And you can click and drag these spots or switch them from here, and they automatically disappear once you move them into a spot. So Chris Rowe, I just swapped with the firefighter paramedic spot on engine 26, and he is no longer on the roster, and neither is that vacancy. So this would speed up coordinating significantly. All battalion chiefs can view this. They can make changes on here. They can do this to detail their personnel themselves or have the division coordinator do that. If you were going to detail someone and you didn't want to have to call the fire station to find where they were, you can always click on the person's name, outbound them a message, and you can send a message via email, phone, and text, and hit send. And he'll get that message, and he can then be moved to the spot that you wanted him to go to. So that speeds up the process in that way as well. That is your available and vacant rosters. Now we can go to off roster view, which is important to consider before calling back overtime. This shows all of the off working codes. If someone were to show up in here as scheduled day, they will not show up in your available and vacancies. Simply remove their code and they will be moved back to the unassigned area of the roster in their battalion and on the roster view of unassigned and vacancies. Even if it has a scheduled working day code, you can still click on their work code and hit remove. That will reset their pay code status and put them in a available and unassigned roster view for the coordinator to take further action. Next, we have sick leave. This is a roster view. It has no one in it today because no one's filled out their TOs. Just as a reference guide to refer to any sick leave persons. We also have one for vacation leave. Here we go. And there you are. It shows who's on vacation and the vacancy that it created. And that basically sums up the roster views. If you utilize these roster views, this will help speed up your workflow in the morning for staffing. And the numbers really aren't that important anymore as long as the available and vacants are everyone's accounted for and the vacancies are filled as much as possible with the people who are on the roster that day. And you have to make sure that no one's on the off roster position with the scheduled day working code. And if both of those things are true, you can go back with the division coordinator, the battalion chief individually. Doesn't matter, whoever wants to do it and whoever agrees can simply go to any roster view. Let's go to battalion 6. And the chief or the lieutenants or whoever is running the battalion staffing that day can go to the alarms, click all vacancies, hit any of the highlighted lines, click outbound, And now I have a complete list of Battalion 6 on the left-hand side of all the vacancies that TeleStaff is going to begin to fill. Change my numbers of minutes to, let's say, 90. And I want email, phone, and text. Hit send. Overtime callback has begun. And no phone calls have to be made from the stations. The chiefs don't have to call individual stations telling them to begin the overtime callback process. It speeds things up significantly. But let's say you have someone who's on a split day. You don't necessarily want to call back 2 people for the firefighter paramedic on Unit 16 for today, because today's a first or last day. What you could do is you could go over to the hours on Engine 16 for the paramedic spot. Let's try to edit these. We're going to do edit without rules. Change this to 24. And you can do this with all these spots if you wanted, all the split spots. Do that there. All right. Let's do, oh, here we go. And we're going to click here. I highlighted 2 positions, and we're going to edit rules. We're going to go from 12 to 24. And it should change Engine 13's paramedic spot to a 24-hour callback. And it also changed the Engine 16 or private callback to 24 hours. So then I can simply outbound these vacancies together as 24 hours. And there you go. Easy as that. Just make sure you change your minutes. It defaults to the last minute setting that you did the last time you outbounded any overtime. So hit send. Okay. That's one tip. So that concludes this update for roster views and a little bit of advanced roster view workflow. It'd be good to get with your other battalion chiefs in your division and work out strategies for how you're going to staff and utilize these tools to make your lives easier. So if you have any questions, just email the team, either myself or Lauren, and we'll be happy to make any roster updates, changes that you need, and help you in any way we can. Thank you much, and thank you for listening.